Hi everyone, it's Isabella here and welcome back to the channel. So today's video, I know I have talked recently about some of the very fascinating and odd things that are popping up when it comes to TikTok. Now, one thing I have been dying to discuss is the toxic Stanley Cup epidemic. I know many of you guys have been seeing this trending absolutely everywhere, okay? Talking about how insane this obsession is with the Stanley Cups, how it's so like hyper focused on right now in society, the over consumerism, the people that have like 50 damn Stanley Cups. It's so wild to me. And with that, I know I was really interested in this trend because I was like, okay, but why are people fascinated with this cup? And then usually when I fall down a rabbit hole and I dive into things, I realize, oh wow, there's something really weird going on with the Stanley Cup. I'm talking finding lead in the cups. I'm talking about some weird stuff when it comes to the company and so much more. So today we're going to be diving into the problem with the obsession of the Stanley Cup. So before I hop into today's video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell button down below. My Instagram, TikTok, second channel with other fun commentary, my podcast, merch, and so much more is in the description below. If you guys want to hang out with me more. And now let's get into it. Real quickly though, I do want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor. Hi everyone. We need to talk about mobile games and something that has been my absolute addiction. So I don't know if you guys do or don't know, I'm a mobile game girly. I need a game that's just more relaxed, that's just more fun. And that is where Midas Merge comes in. Now, if you guys do or don't know, Midas Merge is such a fun, new, colorful game. You will help King Midas and Queen Laia as they go in a journey to restore the Gardens of Gold. So you'll need to catch and hatch new creatures and feed them with magical items to create sunbursts and illuminate the land covered in shadows cast by Nyx, goddess of the night. I love it because there's no crazy pressure or time limit. I am making brand new little creatures. I'm growing my garden. I am currently the mother to many, many creatures. We have Gatsby. Isn't that adorable? And over here, I have Lavender. And also another really amazing bonus about this game is you can play this offline. There are no ads, no annoying ads that you have to click off. It's a free game for you to play and enjoy, and it is very, very addicting. So in order to play Midas Merge today and try it out for yourself, go and scan the QR code on the screen or in the link in the description below and start playing for free. Let me know if you guys have played or start playing. What's your favorite creature? What's your favorite level? Comment down below because I would love to hear it. This is genuinely so fun. Thank you so much to Midas Merge for partnering with me on today's video because this game is so addicting. And now let's get into it. Talk about just Stanley Cups in general. Why are they there? What's going on? Why are people so obsessed with it? So originally I saw a lot of people popping off on TikTok with it, showing off their Stanley Cups. Now, I'm going to be honest, when I first saw this, I was like, okay, so this is similar to like when all of the girlies had like the Hydro Flasks, right? I literally remember that like back in 2020. I don't know why that was a hyper focus, but the Hydro Flask was a hyper focus. And it's very fascinating to me because I feel like I see a lot of people fall into trends that are about water bottles. Like if you guys do or don't know or didn't fall down the side of water talk, comment down below if you went down that rabbit hole. That was weird, where people were making like weird mixtures of waters, which practically were turning water, not into water, but into soda. You know what I mean? Like it was just fascinating. So the world of water and water jugs is just something that I think humans just hyper focus on. I slightly get it though. I have my own cup that I bought from Target. That was $20. I literally was like, I don't give a fuck about a name brand. I just want the damn thing to work. And I want a straw because I drink more water with a straw. But anyway, some people just hyper focus on it. Even years before, we have people's obsession with the Yeti cups. And a similar thing occurred where people were over buying Yeti cups. And there were so many. Now, when I'm diving into this, I am seeing people even having, again, 20, 30, 50 different Stanley cups or Yeti cups for that matter, or Hydro Flask. And they're all storing it and kind of using it as like, this is my thing I collect. This is something I'm obsessed with. Here's all these colors and styles. And it became a super big focus. So I think in the past year, Stanley cups essentially just skyrocketed because I think the marketing was good, but also the development and design of the cup kind of catered more to what people were really interested in. And again, the colors and the choices were really, really exciting. Now, real quickly, I really want to cover the focus of over consumerism when it comes to this discussion. Now, with seeing all this, I was very interested in what is the Stanley Cup, okay? I'm over here thinking like, damn, it's probably like a new fad that's popped up that'll die off. No. Stanley Cups have been around for years, like older than my parents, okay? Longer than I've been alive. I did not even realize the history behind it. So the Stanley Cups have been around for a very, very long time. And if we actually go to their website, we can see that this is the price range that we're usually looking at, which is, I mean, if it's really good quality, if it has a lot of temperature control, that I would understand it, okay? Like I'm not completely dogging on that. But for me, I am still kind of seeing an expensive cup, right? And so when I look at this expensive cup and I'm like, okay, this is what we're working with. Why are people obsessed and buying it? And I think there's multiple things that are coming into play in this. And again, this is going to extend even further to some of the problems that I'm seeing in general with Stanley cups. But let's talk about TikTok and over consumerism. I'm on TikTok. I love TikTok. I'm obsessed with it. And actually not too long ago, I made a video talking about scams and TikTok shops. So if you guys want to look into that area, I would love for you guys to go check that out. But anyways, TikTok shop is essentially an avenue where a lot of people are selling products and making it easily accessible for people to shop through a very high trafficked app like TikTok. Now, TikTok is also a platform that allows things to go viral and trends will pop up overnight. One of the biggest things that I've noticed just as a content creator in general is TikTok is a place for trends to develop and die. It is literally the fastest way to pick something up, the fastest way for a trend to exist, and then completely disappear off the face of the earth. And sometimes these trends will grow and essentially encourage people to purchase a shit ton of stuff that they don't need. And I'm gonna be the one of them to say right now, I had to sit and reevaluate at the end of 2023, going into 2024. One of my New Year's resolutions was, Bella, you don't need to fucking buy everything you see on TikTok. It's fun and I love being on there. I think it's entertaining and there's wonderful avenues of it. I do think there is a level of it where some people do not have an actual process of deciding whether to purchase it. It's based off of the encouragement of impulsivity and off of trends alone. And because trends are so big and impulsivity is essentially enabled a little bit more through TikTok shop and such, it's kind of become a problem where people are purchasing a lot of things because of trends and simply because they want to have a shit ton. And this also I think is really kind of boosted up, especially when we see the mega hauls or like the stock that people have. Like I remember I would watch things like the skincare stock videos of people that would have hundreds of bottles of skincare. They're like, I'm obsessed with skincare. I have this much. And then when I really started paying attention, I was like, wait a minute, that's going to go bad. That is actually way too much. No human being can plow through that even in a few years. Like that's excessive. I would just see the overstock of items. And that's where I would see the overstock of Stanley cups. Now, leading into that, a lot of people that I have seen that are super hyper obsessed with Stanleys are using it as like a collectible and they're trying to get a lot. And I'm kind of honestly shocked by this because if you're purchasing that many Stanley cups to the point of where like, not all of them are going to get used. Let's be quite frank here. Okay. Many of them are just extra, like just items sitting there. And then additionally, you're going to get bored of them after a while because they're not a trend or they're not going to look how you want. Because I've actually seen people throw away on TikTok their old cups or even their own Stanley cups just to buy an entirely different one. And what is this overconsumption doing? It's essentially telling Stanley to keep creating more and more designs and you'll buy it. And then when you get bored, you'll dump them somewhere and then they have to keep giving more. It's feeding into the cycle of unnecessary waste, in my opinion, and it is genuinely excessive. The overconsumerism that we usually see when it comes to the Stanley cups is they do have an over excessive amount that's being purchased. And so what I'm actually seeing a lot recently though is this overconsumerism is essentially training Stanley to say, okay, we're going to keep mass producing these cups because you guys will want it. And I'm noticing that it's literally just essentially feeding off of each other. So we have Stanley, the company that is sitting there seeing all these people lose their minds over what, a blue cup, for example. And then everyone goes and buys it and sells it out of Target, buys it out of their stores, etc. And so Stanley over here is like, okay, we're going to make more and we're going to feed into this trend. So it's kind of keeps going back and forth. So with this trend as well, we are also seeing how a lot of people are purchasing all these Stanley cups, you know, and they are putting them and displaying them all on TikTok. But I get it because it looks so aesthetically pleasing. And it also is in a way a display of money and success, and especially with the price of Stanley cups. So this is almost like a status and something that people want to get. So it's not just about the cup. It's not just about the look. It's about, I was able to conquer a trend and I was able to afford to conquer said trend. And it's honestly, quite frankly, getting out of hand. So some of the weird obsessions are kind of leading into many different categories of people. We are seeing this in the younger child demographic and also in the adults. Now, I actually have recently kind of dove into some of the obsession with the younger generations on social media. I actually highlighted this in a video about the crazy epidemic of 7-year-olds, 11-year-olds going into Sephora and purchasing $80 serums that they absolutely don't need. I talked about the Sephora Kids epidemic over here, by the way, but this is in a way kind of an extension of that. A couple of examples that I'm going to display over here too is there are many kids now who are seeing Stanleys in a way as a sign of status and something that is a must and a have. And so a part of what's feeding into this consumerism and obsession is parents buying these types of cups for them And the reasoning being is actually because the kids want it so bad, not only because it's trending and they don't sometimes comprehend that a trend does not equal a need, but they're also seeing other kids at school that are using it as a social hierarchy in a way. And an example I am going to show you guys though is there was actually a mom who was discussing this and her experience with her child that was getting mistreatment because she wasn't able to get a Stanley or didn't even have one for that matter.
So we went and bought her a 30-ounce Stanley. In our area, at our local Ace Hardware, these are $35. Can we afford to buy her a Stanley? Yes. Did I think that she needed one? No. Apparently, I've been proven wrong by the children in our school that are making fun of her for not having a real name brand Stanley.
To give more context to the story, this lady is talking about the experience her daughter had taking the cup right there she got for Christmas back to school. The cup was originally okay for her 9-year-old daughter because she thought it was cute. However, it was no longer cute after she took it to school, and the other girls in her grade who got Stanleys for Christmas started making fun of her because she did not have a Stanley and had an off-brand. Her daughter then comes home asking if she can get a real Stanley instead so that way she can fit in with her friends, and her mother here, Dana, goes and buys her one. Now, buying the $35 Stanley didn't set her back too much. She says that affording it wasn't the problem. She just didn't think a 9-year-old needed an expensive tumbler, which I agree. And I also agree with her point where she says that it's important for parents to make sure they're teaching their kids not to make fun of other kids for not having name brand things. Now, peer pressure has been a thing since forever. It's not new. In every generation, every era, there is some type of middle class status symbol that people seek to acquire, and for this era, it's the Stanley Cup. I completely understand that 9-year-olds may not always have the capacity to stand up for themselves or resist against social pressures. However, I don't think the right call was Dana buying her daughter a $35 tumbler for her daughter to go impress girls that obviously don't like her. They only like what she has. And this is not to mom shame Dana. Obviously, she did what she thought was best for her kid, and I believe many parents would do the same. I'm just concerned about the precedent that this is going to set going forward. At some point, you are going to have to teach your kids to not fall victim to peer pressure and not jump off a bridge because everybody else does it. So many adults are in debt for keeping up with the Joneses, and they think that they're winning because they're getting social currency. However, the only thing that they're gaining is a false sense of community, because as soon as the next trend comes, that community is going to move on to the next thing. Which is why I think it's so important to teach your kids to be individuals and to have confidence in themselves, because you will go broke and be miserable trying to keep up with other people because it doesn't really make you happy in the end at all.
Now, this is a huge problem for many reasons. I know I've kind of briefly covered the issues with trends, children who have access to social media and don't have proper, I would say, technology and social media education, and the combination with purchasing and parents wanting to make their kids happy. It's a really negative mix, honestly, because we see that parents are not essentially educating their kids on the problems and dangers and not necessarily looking into what their kids are purchasing. Now, I'm not here to say that you should just prevent your kids from living or experiencing things in life or having safe fun, but by all means, I do think some things need to be educated on, is not everything is a necessity. But right now, I think the child demographic is feeding into the Stanley need, but also it's being fed by the adults. Now, one of the biggest things I've been seeing is the massive obsession with Stanleys with adults, which is honestly my main culprit. So one thing I noticed that I thought was really weird was there was a situation where Target had these brand new Stanley cups and they were pink. And I'm going to be honest, as a girly who loves pink myself, I completely get it. Like, I was like, holy fuck, that I had to have some critical thinking skills. And I was like, okay, wait, pause. Bella, you already have a good cup. You have a shit ton, in fact. Some of these people were literally going and obsessing to where they were running through Target as if it was like 2012 Black Friday deals. They were running and trying to get all of these cups. And I'm going to be honest, some people, and I think especially the adults, are, one, I think displaying this kind of behavior to kids, which is really bad. But two, they're showing this off in a way and like having a very unhealthy obsession with this. Like, this is genuinely kind of odd behavior to run to get Stanley cups. Okay. That's very, very alarming to say the least, I think. And the way that some people were going as far as to laminate the like label. I'm so sorry. And maybe it's just me. And I try really hard to like have an open mind and like consider it. That is kind of unhinged. I genuinely, unless it is such a severe limited edition something that's like I can't comprehend saving and sealing, you know what I'm talking about, sealing a label. That is the most unhinged shit to me. And I'm just like, I think it's almost similar to the really out of pocket wild Disney adults. You know what I'm talking about? The ones that are like Little too much. You got what I'm saying? There's Disney adults and there's Disney adults. You guys know the difference, okay? Same concept. There's some people who are losing their minds running to go into Target and get these Stanley cups. All this being said, we're talking about the weird hyper obsession with Stanley. We're also discussing how this is impacting everyone when it comes to consumerism and also when we are talking about consumerism within children. Now, I want to actually dive into the dark reality of Stanley. So a lot of people are obsessed with Stanley, but they don't actually realize that this company actually sucks. So yeah, let's actually dive into that. So I know, and this is literally why I have a YouTube channel. I literally find some weird rabbit hole to dive into. I find something sketchy and I tell y'all so you can save money. Okay. And this is what's also super sad to me is now there are people who are throwing away their Stanley cups and getting rid of them because there have been lead that has been found inside of the Stanley cups. Yeah, I know. Isn't that great? So this is on classaction.org that I pulled up. By the way, I think this is an incredibly amazing site for you guys to check out when it comes to like lawsuits or other sketchy things. It's just a good way to get information and it's easily accessible to everyone. We love education over here. So it says 2024 Stanley Cup lawsuit says makers failed to disclose viral tumblers contained lead. So this is a big deal. This is posted on Valentine's Day. So this just came out on classaction.org. It was last updated. This is actually insane. 4 consumers have filed a proposed class action lawsuit in which they allege the maker of the popular Stanley Cup brand cups intentionally failed to disclose until late January of 2024 that the viral product contained lead. Now, some people are like, okay, but what's the big deal? Lead, like, is it really trust. It is a big ass deal, okay? And this is also alarming because they're selling expensive cups that are catered to all ages. They have had and have been around for a long time. They clearly, obviously know lots of people are purchasing. And now they are getting exposed for having allegedly lead. Are we fucking surprised? Some of these money-hungry companies do not give a shit about you, and it's disappointing. The 25-page Stanley lead lawsuit says that although defendant Pacific Market International, PMI, touted the products for years as safe, the company failed to disclose to the public that its manufacturing process for the drinkware tumblers, whose popularity exploded with the help of social media influencers and branded partnerships, actually included lead. Instead, PMI falsely advertised its Stanley cups as BPA-free, which, by the way, I just had a really random memory. I remember my mom was purposely looking for BPA products when I was a kid. I didn't comprehend that. Now I get it. And they're made of stainless steel while failing to warn that lead is a key ingredient in the cup's vacuum seal, which, if damaged, could expose a user or their child to lead. The proposed class action lawsuit claims stressing that PMI's target demographic for Stanley cups is young professional women of childbearing age, which that is what mainly we have been seeing when it comes to the TikTok posts, including a heavy amount of school children who are really wanting this because of the trends on social media. False advertising complaint filed in Los Angeles County Superior Court on February 1st emphasizes that lead is dangerous in even trace amounts, and that exposure, particularly through touching, swallowing, or inhalation, can cause severe developmental problems in children. And they have the sources cited for that. The Stanley lead lawsuit accuses the Seattle-based PMI of knowingly misleading the public by failing to disclose a, quote, fact that reasonable consumer would want to know before buying a drinking cup, which is absolutely true. These companies will do this little thing where it's only what you need to know. And they try and play on the concept of, well, a consumer would know this. A consumer, it'll be fine. And they try and slip through until a lawsuit comes out where they're like, no, this would lead for a consumer to think it's safe. This would lead for consumer to possibly change the perspective of your brand. I think there was a few lawsuits with vegan-based brands, and the lawsuits were, I think, allegedly about how naturally assume that the products were 100% vegan and not touching animal products, when in fact some of those products were touching animal products. So that was false advertising, okay? So this is the same exact concept. And again, I'm not surprised, but this is gonna lead to such a mass waste. People are gonna throw this shit out. People are gonna throw all these cups out, and even if some don't, people might be consuming lead and hurting themselves. Like, this is genuinely dangerous. PMI, quote, had a duty to disclose its use of lead before enticing millions of customers to unwittingly buy its drinkware. The lawsuit states, instead of allowing consumers to decide for themselves and their families whether to accept any risks associated with using a lead cup, contaminated drinking cup, PMI kept customers in the dark so as not to interfere with its bonanza of influencer-driven sales. The plaintiff asked the court for a permanent injunction requiring PMI PMI to disclose any lead or other toxins in its products in California, refunds for proposed class members for whatever they paid for lead-contaminated Stanley cups, and punitive damages for PI's deliberate concealment of its use of lead and the possibility the damage to a cup could expose customers to lead. So far in 2024, Stanley has not recalled its popular tumblers. So I think they're waiting until like the actual lawsuit, and maybe, I honestly think they're going to wait until like a big settlement in order for them to like pull things. I think they're going to avoid it. I think they're going to slap on a label. I don't think they're going to do recall. I think they're going to be like, hey, whoops, here's a little tiny notification that we might have lead, and then move on. That's it. And by the way, I am actually going to have this class action linked in the description below, because you can join the Stanley Cup lawsuit if you are someone who's purchased or has been a part of. You may actually be getting an email, so look out for that. Check your spam, but I will have this in the description below if you guys are concerned about this. So as we can see with this lawsuit, this is a very, very big deal, and I don't think enough people are talking about it. I see still way too many viral videos that are going on about Stanley and purchasing them and their new launches. Yeah, and it's really bad. So the biggest thing that I want to say, and my final thoughts when it comes to Stanley as a whole, is I think we need to be really due diligent about some of these companies. And again, anyone can get scammed. Anyone can be misled by marketing. Like, it happens to the best of us. As an anti-scam creator, I have been scammed before. Like, it happens all the time. And like, this just goes to show that there are many viral companies and things that exist where they're hurting you. They don't actually care. And this is also another sad reality that I've come to realize with companies, is there are many companies out there that genuinely value profit over your safety. And it's so upsetting, and it drives me crazy because there are so many lawsuits out there that are so set in stone. Like, this company can't run away from this, right? Like, they have lead in their cups. That's irrefutable evidence. There are people who have tested independently and other organizations. Like, this is well known, but they're probably more than likely going to get a slap on the wrist. They're probably going to get away with it. Like, this is usually how it goes. But I just want to say that it's not your fault. But with the over consumerism, I would be cautious to be buying such mass amounts of stock of items just for fun. Because one, it's probably going to be a waste of money. Two, the majority of human beings do not need 20 to 40 to 30, even 15 cups like that, okay? Unless you have 15 children. Girl, don't be doing it. Like, that's not necessary. And two, all I gotta say is I think we need to be a little bit more cautious, I would say, about some of the viral product. Do your digging, test things out, look into stuff. It's good to ask questions. That's always what I'm gonna tell people. It's important to ask questions and to look into stuff because you're protecting yourself. And it blows my mind how not even a few months ago, people were talking about the Stanley Cups, the launches, and how amazing it is. And now some of these same people have walls of Stanleys, and now they're gonna have to toss them or keep them and hope that they don't have any negative impacts to lead. And additionally, I want to make this video too, just for education to parents as a whole. Again, I know, and even if you have to show your kid this part of the video, I know listening to your parents when they say that's not necessary, I get it, trust me. I used to feel that way. I'm gonna tell you though, when there's really bad things in this cup and your parents are saying no, they're literally trying to keep you healthy. They're not trying to make you not have fun. And additionally, another thing that I want to say is with Stanley, you are paying for a name. The want went up, so the price went up. You're paying more for a logo. That is it. I literally have a cup that I bought from Target that was maybe $15. I'll find it. I'll have a pop-up over here. Perfect. Keeps my stuff cold. It looks good. I'm telling you, if someone ever makes fun of you for not having something that is like a logo or is just giving you shit, be like, okay, well, I'm going to try and find a cup that doesn't have lead in it. So thank you. Anyways, I'm really sorry if any of you guys have been impacted by this. Definitely be on the lookout if there is a settlement or lawsuit. Check your email, look into this kind of stuff. All I'm going to say is I didn't realize that Stanley would end up being a toxic TikTok epidemic, but yeah, here we are. So that was it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you guys have a Stanley Cup, if you guys have bought any others, and have any other recommendations, any other feelings on this, please comment down below because I would love to hear your guys' feedback and thoughts. I like hearing what you guys have to say about this. Don't forget to check out today's sponsor in the link in the description below and pin comment, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.